Yes, folks, hello, welcome to another MoDXtra Games and Collectibles action figure review. And as you can see here, today's installment is going to be all about the G.I. Joe Classified Series DR Mindbender. That's right, after a 12-month wait, well, over 12 months, in fact, because I pre-ordered this guy in the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 pre-order window, and I'm recording this a good month after San Diego Comic-Con 2023. But anyway, despite the wait, the Doctor is in the house, and I'm very happy to have this convention-exclusive deluxe la-di-da edition of the figure in my collection, and I'm going to talk about it for a bit here on the channel. So if you're new around these parts, just to let you know that my reviews are thorough reviews, and I do 4 distinct sections. The first section, I'm going to share with you the live unboxing. You're going to get my experience as I crack it open for the very first time, take a look at the packaging and what the experience there is all like, and whatever comes out my mouth when I first see the figure and the goodies, for the very first time. Then I'm going to move into a section I call the 3 A's, and that's the core review area of the video. The first A is aesthetic. How does the figure look? What's the visual experience like? I'm going to be talking sculpting. I'm going to be talking textures. I'm going to be talking paint applications. I'm going to be talking colors. What is the DR Mindbender going in the eye stuff like? Then I'm going to move into articulation, the second A. How does he move? How does he pose? And then finally, the third A is accessories and added value. What are all the extra goodies that have been thrown in with the figure to, make it worth the money? What's the added value accessories bit all about? Especially when you're paying a deluxe convention exclusive price tag on it. And with all that said and done, if you're thinking about grabbing a DR Mindbender of your own, if you can find one. But if you are, and you are able to find one, then it's my hope that my thoughts will, help you make your decision today. And also answer the question, I suppose, was he worth the wait? So let's get into it. Let's not dilly-dally around, and let's get straight into taking a look at the live unboxing. So let's go back in time. Let's get into it then. Here's DR Mindbender's packaging. It's the deluxe packaging here, similar to the like of which Serpentor came in with like the sleeve on the outside and the fold out packaging opening box on the inside. We've got a little bit of artwork there, but we'll take a closer look at that in a minute on the back of the inner box. But it's that fancy deluxe packaging thingamadoodad. There's that artwork even bigger again, although in here, on this section that's underneath this fold-over sleeve, there's an even larger representation of it without this little banner across the bottom. So it's great artwork. I mean, there's no denying it, but I want to talk about it once I've got the full real estate showing off the picture there. So I'll get to that in just a sec. Then on the side, DR Mindbender is number 43 in the line, which is absolutely hilarious considering the last G.I. Joe video I did on this channel was the Range Viper. And what was that, 76? But there we go. Nonetheless, he's number 43. Then we've got the data card, and it strikes me that this data card is clearly very reflective of DR Mindbender's leisure activities, his recreational activities. So this top little swirly symbol there, I'm pretty sure that's from the title sequence of The Big Bang Theory, the sitcom. So he obviously watches that over the weekends when he's got a bit of free time. Then we've got this kind of kinky gear here, which we'll not explore too deeply, but I think Mindbender's image speaks for itself, really, as to what that might be all about. Then we've got this kind of lightning bolt on a brain here, which I think is indicative of the, once a month on a Saturday, he goes to his flatlining club and just explores not just the outer space, but his inner space through that experience. And then finally, we've got this anvil at the bottom here, because as we all know, DR Mindbender does a blacksmithing course at his local community college. So I'll slide this outer sleeve off and we'll go to the artwork on the back first, I think. And there it is, the full real estate there with the whole picture here. Now, G.I. Joe fans will know that this is depicting the events of Arise, Serpentor, Arise. These corpses in the bottom here are clearly the historical tyrants and that was used for the DNA to make Serpentor. So that's maybe Genghis Khan, I think, was one of them. Dracula-looking dudes. That's Ivan the Terrible. We've got a guy up here with the bay leaf crown, so that's Julius Caesar. This looks like it might be Napoleon Bonaparte. That's the Incan Emperor Moctezuma. And at the back there with the hair, maybe Rasputin? Was Rasputin one of the ones on the DNA list? I know there was like Alexander the Great and Hannibal. Attila the Hun was one of them. Have I mentioned Napoleon? Yeah, I mentioned Napoleon. So depicting the events there, and these are the weird psychedelic dreams that he was having in the cartoon, the first installment, just here. So wonderful piece of artwork. That really love that painted piece of artwork. Very keen on that. Back to this front section then, we've got the Cobra symbol in a DNA double helix kind of thing, which is obviously reflective of Dr. Mindbender's kind of key characteristic there, his role, his function in Cobra as the sort of DNA science guy. But this then has the fold out section like so. Opens up like a little book to reveal the figure and all the accessories. Again, with all this awesome artwork here in his big techno sciencey lab thing, with the figure here in the middle. No window on that, actually, just open fronted with the figure, and then all his various bits of accessory like his ray gun and his science experiment equipment and all that kind of jazz. This is all taped in, all kind of funky, and I seem to remember when I did Serpentor, it was quite difficult to open. So if you'll excuse me for one brief second, folks, I'm going to jump off camera to do some shenanigans with all this. So it appears with these door sections, actually, that just by cutting a little bit of tape across the bottom and opening up the flap here, you can slide out the blister pack like so on both sides. There we go, number 2. Okay, getting into this main section was a little confounding for a moment, but I found it. You can cut the tape across the top edges here and fold this flap down to slide the main blister pack out like so. Paperwork! Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've done a much better job of getting that open than I did with Serpentor. It's actually kind of more or less all in one reusable state. Check me out for a change. So here in the blister pack, we've got a handgun. We've got these little experiment, like, body part jars in one side. And like this kind of dodgy 70s sort of British science fiction TV show ray gun thing, which is tremendous. Totally see someone pulling that out on an episode of Doctor Who or Blake 7 or something, can't you? Then like some kind of injectory thing. We'll obviously take a closer look at these later on in the review. More ray gun action type thing, but this time with a hosey thing. That's probably better off pulled out that way, maybe. There you go, managed it. And that will be like the canister on the other end of the hosey thing. This really cool skull. A brain. Kind of messed around with a severed hand. Awesome. And then under this tape here, my nemesis, sellotape. Still planning on patenting that fingernail biter action figure unpacking tool. We've got these little kind of canistery things, which I will undoubtedly lose in the short term. And then, of course, the figure himself. Oh, I hate this noise. I know folks want the plastic packaging back, but I'm not a fan. Listen to that. Well, the cape's through a little hole at the back, but there we go. Done. And there we go, ladies and gents. There's Dr. Mindbender with all his goodies. So the next step now is for me to go away and get some good quality man-child playtime in so I can get good and hands-on with the figure and come back and do the review section. So that's it for me for now, but Future Chris will be back with you in 3, 2, 1. So let's get started with the aesthetics then. And of course, aesthetically, in terms of visual experience, the first thing that strikes you about Dr. Mindbender is that they've made a clear decision to tug on the nostalgia and keep to a very classic looking 80s style Dr. Mindbender, complete with bald head, monocle, moustache, weird S&M gear with the silver straps and the codpiece and the purples and such like. It is basically an 80s Dr. Mindbender through and through, and there's not a great deal of contemporary modernized elements that they've added to the figure. You know, when you look at some of the other stuff they've done in G.I. Joe Classified, where they've taken the classic look and then sort of layered some stuff on top of it, I don't think that's the case. Aesthetically, this guy just looks straight up. That's 80s Dr. Mindbender through and through, more or less. I mean, there's obviously been different interpretations between the cartoon and various artists in the comic books, but when you look at it straight away, you're like, yeah, classic, nostalgic looking Dr. Mindbender. The sculpt quality is up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified Series standard. I've moved Dr. Mindbender nearer to the camera here so we can take a closer look at these elements. You see the face sculpt. I mean, look at that. It's amazing. The little hairy tash and eyebrow sculpting, the contours, like look at this furrowed brow and the contour lines in the shaved head there. Really awesome. Very, very good. The paint applications are solid and sound as well while I'm on the face sculpt too. Look at the eyes and the eyebrows and the lips and stuff. It's really awesome. And all those features, the nose, the cheek, very distinctive facial features. He has got perhaps a little bit of a vanilla facial expression. I'd have perhaps liked something a little bit more mad scientist going on, but I get it. I get why they've done that. He's, concentrating on some DNA samples or something. if we're telling stories without figures, but really awesome sculpt quality. And then you can see they've continued that down into the figure. You've got the crazy swole musculature of Dr. Mindbender, which is a key part of the the visual identity. Nice sculpted details in the straps with studs and the belt line here. Then the cod piece is all well sculpted. Got the texture in the trousers, that nice fabric texture going on, which is lovely. The leather look on the boots, his big knee-high leather boots with his knee protecting pad things here and the kind of pirate buckle on the front, all great. These sections on the arm here, I was going to say gauntlets, but I don't think they are gauntlets if they're separate to the gloves. So if anyone wants to let me know what the name of these are, these kind of arm shieldy pieces are, then drop down into the comments down below and let me know. But you can see again that great sculpt detail and the paint applications there in this nice metallic looking silver paint. Really wonderful, and that's the same on both sides. You can see it there too. Let's get in focus, Chris. There you go. Yeah, you can see it there too. And these straps across his arms are all sculpted in with little texture pieces. A little paint application here on the thigh strap of his holster. And the holster too's got a nice leather look with another buckle with a paint application on it. Just lovely attention to detail. I'm always so appreciative of the work that they do over at G.I. Joe Classified Series there. Of course, one of the other key visual features of the figure is the soft goods cape here. It's got its bit of stitching so that it's tailored in to give it some shape, that little kind of blooming shape down the bottom here, which is a nice touch, and it's really well stitched along the sides. Comes in a nice sort of textured style with the shiny look to it, which all adds to the the kind of crazy batshit mad scientist 80s S&M dude look. And so it's all wonderful there. It's not wired. I know that's not an aesthetic element, but it's not wired, but it seems to drape nicely down along the figure there. If I turn him back round, you can see the cape shape, the drape of the cape and the cape shape. Just having a bit of a little fun with rhyming words. But yeah, that drops down nicely across the figure. I suppose the only criticism I would have is it looks a little untidy at this section that rises up towards the back of the head behind the neck. You can sort of see this bit where it's been stitched on. But yeah, lovely visual element. I'm not always the biggest fan of soft goods, but when they're just straightforward, easy to get to grips with, and they legitimately add to the visual experience of the figure, I'm into it. It doesn't look like like an oddly fitting doctor's white coat or anything. I'm just what was the recent example of that threw me off? The Beast, the Marvel Legends Beast that I picked up. The white coat, it was just oddly fitting. It was just weird. This doesn't seem to be the case. It's got this that kind of tailored section in at the back to give it this wonderful kind of flow and drape to it, which I'm really pleased with. Colour scheme wise, the G.I. Joe Classified Series team have obviously elected not to go too far off script from, as I say before, the nostalgic 80s classic look of the figure. So you've got the purple, the black, the silver, which is all in line with the way he used to look in the cartoon and in early iterations in the comic book. The figure is well framed, the colour scheme is balanced. I definitely get the sense they like a bit of symmetry over at the G.I. Joe Classified Series design team, and they've done just that with Dr. Mindbender. So yeah, Dr. Mindbender is a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles thumbs up as far as the aesthetics go. I'm very happy to have my nostalgic heartstrings pulled by this figure, and he is definitely pulling my nostalgic heartstrings. He was always he was just a wacky, idiosyncratic character, and they've captured that perfectly. Very happy to have some more balmy wild cobra characters on the shelf. In my older age, I'm becoming more and more into them over the kind of more classic military looking guys. And so, yeah, bring it on. Very happy with the figure there. And I think you will be too. So there we are. There's the aesthetics. Let's now move on to the articulation. Right, moving on to articulation then, and if you've ever had a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure in hand, you'll find no surprises here. However, for anyone who's taking a look at this video and seeing a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure for the very first time, I'll do a quick rundown. Starting above the shoulders then, in the head, we've got the hinge and ball at the top, and then the ball at the bottom of the neck, so you'll see you've got good up, good down, all this kind of tilty, swivelly action going on. Nice, full 360 all the way around. And because he's not got any helmets or hair or anything obstructing, you know, there's a really good range of motion there in the neck and head area. Under the cape here, you'll see, if I just kind of pull that strap up a bit, you'll see there's the butterfly joint in there, giving him some shoulder shuffle. Then hinging the armpit, getting you up to about there. Got the swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Nice pinless elbow getting you all the way up to there. Then it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified hands with the peg in there, giving you the swivel all the way round. And then on the right hand, you've got a hinge up and down. And on the left hand, you've got a hinge forward and back. Just while I'm here as well, actually, I forgot to mention this before when I was talking about the aesthetic, but look at that lovely little kind of scaly snake motif there just on the inside of his arm wristband thingies. It's a really lovely touch. I meant to mention that a bit earlier and then forgot about it until I had the figure facing out like that. Into the torso, and you'll see you've got the ab crunch, the cut across the centre there, giving you a really good crunch forward and a decent crunch backwards. And these straps across the front here, as you can see, are not too obstructional at all. Although when he's bent forward, you can see they sort of bunch out like that. Got the bally, swivelly thing at the waist as well, giving you some turning motion. This, however, is obstructed by the straps there, so you're kind of a bit limited. They sort of pull tight as you go around, but enough for some of the types of poses that you'd be looking to do with your Dr. Mindbender. Moving down, got the drop down joint in the groin area there, giving you some nice out, the old ballerina. Some decent forward, and some okay-ish back, I suppose. That looks weird, doesn't it? The holster here on this right leg with the straps coming down from the belt and then the straps across the thigh there do get in the way a little bit, but I've not noticed too much trouble. I can still sort of get him sort of stepping forward and walking and moving and stuff for some more dynamic poses despite it. What it is a little bit awkward with, though, is the thigh swivel there in the leg. Then you'll see we've got thigh cut at the top of both the thighs there, giving you a bit of swivel in that area. Nice pinless double knee, getting you all the way up to there. And then the standard hinge and rocker in the boots. I think these are reuse, actually. Are they Major Bloods? Or some part of Major Bloods, but in any case, good hinge and rocker there, allowing for a good range of motion in the ankles. So definitely a solid range of articulation. Regular viewers around these parts will know that I enjoy the G.I. Joe Classified articulation scheme a great deal, and I think it opens up a wide array of options when it comes to your kind of storytelling, whether it be how you're playing with your figures, how you're displaying your figures, if you're photographing them, all that good stuff. And Dr. Mindbender is no different, and there's no real, well, he's certainly not wearing any, like, you know, combat jacket or anything to get in the way there, is he? So he's got the full range of motion we've come to know and love with G.I. Joe Classified, which means absolutely, for that A, it's another thumbs up for articulation. Right, let's take a look at the goodies, shall we? Let's have the accessories out. So this is a deluxe convention exclusive figure, so arguably there is more to offer in the added value. I would certainly say that for storytelling with your figure, there's a lot to offer here. Whether it's the level of added value to warrant the deluxe. Anyway, let's get into it, and we'll make our minds up at the end. So I'm going to begin. He's a mad scientist, so let's start with all the scientific stuff. And we've got the red jars here. Look at these. We've got this longer one with the severed hand with some kind of cybernetic experimentation going on. And then we've got the little one, oh, it's fallen loose, the little one with the brain inside of it. Now these, I mentioned these when I did the unboxing, open these up, these little kind of needly chamber things. I think, I don't know for sure, but I think they go into these little holes on the jars. There's some on the bottom of the brain, and you can see there's some holes, some ports in the bottom of the severed hand. So let's get started with the brain. You can see that these pop off. You can pop the top off like so. Then that's got like a little chamber in there for holding the brain in place, although it's a bit loose on mine. But you can see the brain is really well sculpted, got a little wash over it as well to bring it to life a little bit more. Got this nice metallic silver paint job on the peg at the bottom. So you kind of cram that into that hole there and then pop your little glass jar, your red glass jar bit on top. The line keeps coming loose there, let's see. This has been happening all week. And then the main body of it is just a sculpted piece of kind of metallic grey with little bits of buttons and studs and things in it. Yeah, it's nice, it's fun, it's obviously on brand for the character, the mad scientist vibe. There's also something else you can do with that brain, which we'll have a look at in a second. Then the severed hand, same theory concept really. Big long red jar there, you can pop the top off like so. There's the severed hand inside it. Really lovely sculpt on that. Look at the sculpted detail and the little cybernetic wire things poking out. Enjoy that one a great deal. And that's got a little peg hole in it as well. You can see at the bottom there that you can put the severed hand in. Pop the glass jar over the top. And there you go. There you've got your little science experiment smugubbins. Then we've got the skull here with some like some cloth draped across it. Is that may be a reference to one of the skulls they find in the Arise Serpentor Arise episodes, but my memory's failing me now. This is a single piece of kind of this bone white plastic with the coloured cloths on there. You could maybe afford to have a bit of a wash, like you see on the teeth on the front here. They're all kind of matching colour. Wouldn't wash across there wouldn't have gone amiss, but that is what it is. Got this big caved in section at the top, and the top of the skull comes up, and you'll notice there's a little chamber in there. Now this isn't fabulous. It's there for the little brain to go in, but just the same as with the jar, the little groove in here for putting the brain in is a bit loose, doesn't really fit. You have to really kind of give it a push. Is that the right way around, or is it that way around? No, you want the big fat bit at the back, don't you? Like that. And then you pop the lid on, and it's all a bit, see there, I can't quite get it to, you have to really sort of cram it down, and then, I don't know, I've not had the greatest experience of putting the brain in this skull, but then when the brain's not in it, I find that this skull top piece is a bit loose, and I've been knocking it off a great deal. And, just as an added pain point, I've been trying to get it into his hand for an alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well moment, but I'm finding it very hard with his trigger finger hands to balance the skull on his hand. So while it's kind of cool, I've not enjoyed the skulls as much as I thought I might have done. I've not found the narrative opportunity in my man-child playtime with that as much as I would have liked. Then, sticking with the sciencey theme stuff, we've got this kind of, it looks like a sort of, one of those Star Trek injectory pen things. Got this little chamber back here with some sort of, well, what looks like some metallic noxious liquid, like some melted mercury or something. And then there's like sort of injector gun thing with the a single molded piece of plastic with the needle at the end here. It's nice, it's fun. Again, it's on brand with the character for the mad scientist vibe. I've definitely been posing him up with that a few times, getting up to no good. So yeah, an interesting piece of gear. One downfall of this is that there's nowhere really to store it on the figure, because that holster on his legs for the next weapon, which is just a classic, Cobra handgun pistol-y thing. Again, single piece of molded plastic. We've seen this before somewhere, I think. My memory's failing me now. Let me know in the comments down below if you can remember where that gun's been seen before. But that's a standard kind of, shooty, pew-pew kind of gun thing. And that does fit in the holster on the side of the leg. Like so. Nice tight fit. Then we got these two, I don't know what they are, just like crazy sort of 60s BBC ray gun type things. They look awesome. We got the top one here with these sort of, God, I don't like these little Tesla thingy doodads, and it just really like total retro, like ray gun type stuff, which look awesome. I've been enjoying these a great deal. This one's a bit more kind of hosey in shape. This one's a bit more ray gun in shape. You can see you've got the two colours on them with the nice silvery metallic-y paint application on both of these in the sort of barrel areas. They look really nice. And then you'll notice at this end, they've both got these little peggy bits. And those little peggy bits hook up with another accessory, which is this, like this kind of gas liquid container with a nice hose on it there. And then this end of the hose can fit into the end of the guns. That's, again, another single piece of molded plastic, but it's nice. It's definitely got, you know, the molding to tell the story of what it is. It's like some nefarious mad scientist sort of liquid thing going on in there. It's got a little peg on it there, which I'll talk about in a second, but this end of the hose fits on both of these, both the sort of ray gun, like so, and the fire hosey looking one, like so. Now this canister fits about his person on his back here. You can see there's a little peg hole in his belt there. I've been putting it in this way round with the long sticky outy section going across to under his left arm and sort of draping the cape over it and bringing the hose up to his right arm like so. Then what I've generally found is that I want to get the kind of gun into his hand first, kind of position it, and then attach the hose like so. Now by doing that, you can sort of curl the hose around behind the back of his person so that you can still maintain some of the awesome cape drape, the shape of the cape draping there, and you've got the hose stuck into the weapon down here like that. But there's possibly a better way of doing it, or a more accurate way of doing it, but that's just how I've been doing it for my preference there. And well, folks, that's actually it with regards to the accessory selection. Which is, it's an accessory selection of highs and lows, really. I appreciate the fact that we've got all this kind of gear that's great for your storytelling, you know, in terms of the narrative of the character's identity. He's a big old, bold, crazy mad scientist, so there's mad scientist shit involved in the mix, and his weapons look like crazy ray guns and injector weapons and stuff. Really on board with all that. But these are just practically not quite, the implementation of them is not quite fully there. And there's not a great deal of storage for this stuff on the figure. You know, if he's holding one gun and his pistol, that's it. You're basically kind of done with the canister around the back there. So your hosey one's no good. And I don't know. I feel like he should have come with just a little table or something. I know that sounds really random, but I was chatting to the guys over on the Discord group that I belong to and sort of saying, well, these are good, but I kind of don't know what to do with them. I'm a bit of a loose end. And I've seen some, one of the guys was kind enough to share with me some homemade, you know, custom displays that some folks have been made and were selling on Etsy and stuff. But yeah, I'm not so sure. They're fun. They're fun. And I get it. They add to the narrative storytelling experience. You can do some really interesting photography and displays with them. But I've been a little bit, you know, meh about them. It's possibly because I don't think that's enough to warrant the price tag. When I look at like what came with Snowjob, for example, in comparison for the same price or less even, you know, it doesn't add up, does it? It doesn't feel right. So my extra money's gone on the fact that it's a soft goods cape and a Comic-Con exclusive. So it's an interesting one. I like them. I particularly like this ray gun thing. That looks awesome. Really fun. Proper barmy, wacky, out there shit, and I'm enjoying that a great deal. But I'm not, when you just kind of lay it out like that, it doesn't look like a great deal, does it? I don't know. It's a funny one, that one, isn't it? Anyway, let's wrap that one up there. Let's take a look now at some figure comparisons. So here's Dr. Mindbender with, you know, the pinnacle of his mad scientific achievements, the DNA tyrant thing that is Serpentor, and you can definitely see the sort of book shape difference there. I posted the picture on Instagram the other day calling these soft goods squad. But definitely a good display combo for sure. Here's the Doctor with the battle android troopers, who I thought were a creation of his, but I was told by, again, a buddy over on the Discord the other day that Scrap Iron was the original creator of the Battle Android Troopers, not Dr. Mindbender. You can argue that one out in the comments down below. Here's Dr. Mindbender with his fellow, Cobra senior leadership co-conspirator of betrayal, Destro. And then finally, because I always like to throw a character in from the other side of the display, on the good guy side of the display, here's Big Ben with Dr. Mindbender, just, because I like to throw one of the good guys in the mix. And he's also one of my new ones, so he was on the shelf, on my little, noobs shelf. So there you go. And, Big Ben, salute you, sir. Okay then, folks, well, here is Mindbender going around on the turntable in kind of a bit of a pose that I settled on the other day. It's a funny one, really. I've been struggling to find an interesting way of posing this guy or setting him up on the shelf that makes me happy. I'm finding that with the hose and the canister coming around the back, if you want to use these funky ray gun looking things, you can only really position it in this way, because anything else will, if I try and do it there now, sort of sends the cape all sticky outy and misshapen and odd, and I don't know. I've been struggling with him, and I've been struggling, as I said earlier, to sort of integrate some of the cooler scientific bits and bobs, and I'll confess they've been in my bits box pretty much since the day I opened it up and did an initial bit of a playing around with them. So, yeah, any suggestions on posing him up, then I'm open to them. Please do throw them in the comments down below. But I think Mindbender is MoDXtra recommends. That sounds really decisive and convincing, didn't it? I think so. I'm loving the fact that I've got a nice classic look Cobra villain in the iconic image. You know what I mean? He's such an iconic Cobra villain that I feel like I just kind of sort of have to have him in the mix, and I'm very happy with him aesthetically, visually. He's doing what I want him to do on the shelf. I just feel like the implementation or some of the kind of added value elements are not quite fully there. So loving the look of the figure, but the extra toys aren't helping me with my storytelling, aren't helping me with my man-child playtime. They're not helping me with making my displays more interesting and exciting, or certainly as interesting and exciting as I'm capable of making them. I've commented on my posing ability before. So, yeah, curious one. And I think what I'll probably find is that he'll be posed up almost without any of his gear, more often than not, just sort of standing to one side. I'd love I don't know, get him at a computer terminal or something. I'll figure something out. But yeah, I think it's a recommends. I think you're hard pressed to say no, don't have such an iconic looking, G.I. Joe character in the mix, aren't you? So there we go. There's my final thoughts. I hope you enjoyed. So thanks very much, folks. I mean, I don't imagine there's all that many people been watching this, because Mindbender was reviewed quite heavily 12 months ago by those who were able to get them 12 months ago. But I felt like I had to throw this one in the mix to keep the channel as complete as possible. If you have found it useful today, then please do take a moment to give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you want to become a channel member, then hit the join button. You'll have all the exciting emojis and whatnot that I've made. But otherwise, just thank you so very much for coming and hanging out. I'm absolutely blessed to have you folks as subscribers and viewers, and I hope to see you again around these parts sometime soon for another review. So take it easy, folks, and I'll catch you next time.